all day, every day. I be telling niggas stressed like, whoa. Looking at my life like, whoa. You can look up in me, whoa. I'm in my soul, and I am not letting go. Saving my king in my own. I'm in love with him.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Claudine Louise and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. The questions that came in, I really wanted a man's perspective. I was like, you know what? My god brother, he could answer these questions. His name is Vlad and he's located in Baltimore and I'm located in Boston. So please bear with us with the way this video is about to be set up. But anyways, stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, so the first question that came in, how do you approach a guy that you're interested in?
How do you approach a guy that you're interested in? That's a really good question, and that's a question that I've heard a lot from a lot of girls, from a lot of women, just asking, how do I approach a guy that I'm interested in? Now, there's two approaches that I've seen that are popular, and there are two approaches that you need to avoid. Number one, the first approach you have to avoid is seeming too easy. Now with this is when you prematurely express your interest in someone. This is when you see someone, you like them, and your first instinct is to just go up to them and just let them know, hey, I'm feeling you. But this is not the approach you want to have, because it gives off, for some guys, it gives off this vibe that you're easy, or that you're desperate, or even worse, you're thirsty. And that is not the vibe, the approach that you want to have with someone. And so what I've learned over the years, just kind of talking to guys and also just with myself, is that we appreciate what's known as the chase. Because in our minds as a guy, we've been taught that what is valuable ought to be worked for. And if it's too easy, it's probably not worth it. And so for a lot of guys, when you approach us and your first instinct is to tell us how you feel, tell us how you love us, how you like us, how you want to, go on a date, you have essentially robbed us of the opportunity to chase after you. You've robbed us of that opportunity. And now we kind of lose that desire to hunt. We lose that desire to chase. We lose that desire to kind of, impress you, or to really, try our best to be attractive to you. And so I think that that is not the approach you want to take. Because, if you're the first to approach, you robbed us of the opportunity to chase after you. And you've robbed us of the opportunity to see you as the prize that you really are. And so that's the first thing. You can't be too easy. But the second approach is you can't be too difficult. Now, for many guys, when they try to approach the girl they're interested in, some girls can sometimes act like they're uninterested. Some girls are professionals at playing hard to get. And sometimes some girls do it well. Some girls are flirty with it. Some girls are professionals at playing hard to get. But there are some people out there who, when they play hard to get, they actually come off as mean. They come off as uninterested. And it also gives this vibe to a guy that, you feel like I'm unimportant. And once we feel that way, for a lot of us, we don't think, let me just keep ramming my head against this wall. But instead, what we're going to say is, you know what? I don't need this rejection right now. I don't need this feeling of lowering my self-esteem. I'm just going to back up and move away. And, if that was your goal and you wanted him to leave you alone, then great. You succeeded. But if it's your goal for him to approach you and really be interested in you, you have to learn how to balance not just being too easy, but also being too difficult. You got to find that fine line in between. So you got to make it easy for him to approach you. So be inviting to him. Smile when you see him. Just your body language means a lot. Don't give him the idea that you're too busy to talk to him, or you're too important to talk to him. There are subtle ways you can let him know that you're interested, touching him on the shoulder, just laughing at his jokes. Guys like it when you laugh at their jokes. And so if you just laugh at his jokes, touch him on the shoulder, whatever fits your personality, but after you've dropped those little clues, let him chase. Let him chase. After you've dropped the bait, after you've let him know that you're interested through various signs, you've talked to him, you've had conversation with him, let him chase you. Do not take this as an opportunity to just open up your heart to him and let him know how much you feel. Give him the opportunity to chase after you. And some of us guys are a little slow, so it may take us some time to catch on, but you'll appreciate it in the end that you gave him the chance to chase you.
All right, second question. What is an ideal Christian first date?
What is the Christian ideal first date? So what is the ideal first date for a Christian? I'm going to be honest, I don't think there is one. I don't think there is a cookie cutter date that you can do as a Christian that will guarantee you a great time, because I think all of us are different. All of us enjoy different things. All of us have different interests. And so it kind of depends on the person and who they are. But I would say there are some general principles that you can use when trying to decide where you want to go on your first date. And so the first principle is location. If as Christians, for many of us, it's our goal to remain sexually pure until marriage. We're waiting until marriage to have sex, and we really want to make sure that in this relationship that we really put that off and really put that off till marriage. And so for a lot of us, that might mean that you have to think about the location of where your date is, and that for some of us, the apartment of the person we're trying to date, the dorm room, just maybe private spaces just alone where no one's gonna be around. Maybe those aren't the spots you ought to be thinking about. That should be your first date. So that might mean for many of us, Netflix and chill, kill it. That might mean for some of us, maybe movie night. I don't know about that. Just us two, I don't know. For some of us, that might mean that we just really make sure that all of our dates, at least the beginning stages, our dates should be in public places, public restaurants, public parks, just that way, so that if anything happens, you're in a safe location and that you can really make a wise decision. The second thing you have to look for is conversation. I can't tell you how many dates, in quotations, dates, I went to in high school where all we did was go to the movies. We barely talked to each other. We barely said a word, and we just kind of watched the movie, might have held hands, and that was it. You know what I mean? So I'd advise you to plan dates that force you to have conversation, that force you guys to interact, that force you to really get to know each other on a deeper level than just sitting next to each other. So that might mean that you can go mini golfing, get something to eat, or even go painting together. Anything that stimulates conversation, so you can really get to know who they are as an individual, and they can get to see who you are as an individual. That would be a great option, and it's a great principle that you ought to choose. Third principle is a pet peeve of mine, but some of you might appreciate it. Try your best to look for cost-effective first dates. Yes, I said it. Cost-effective first dates. If you have to put the first date on your credit card, you're doing too much. Understand, if you have Mickey D pockets, please do not try to go to 5-star restaurants. Act your wage. You heard me right. Act your wage. And ladies, if this is your first date, bring your money just in case. Bring your own money just in case. I know that sometimes, some of us have grown up believing that the guy ought to pay for the first date. But I'm here to let you know that it's 2017. And I know a lot of people who have been caught slipping on a first date because when the waiter came by with the check, they were expecting the guy to pay, and he just looked at the waiter and told her to split that check, and she didn't bring anything. So don't get caught slipping out here. It's 2017.
The third question that came in, I really, really like it because this person was very specific. So she asked, what should she be asking on the first date? Like, should she lay out like everything that she's looking for? Like, just be blunt as possible on the first date? So, the question, what should you be addressing on the first date?
All of your questions ought to be focused on getting to know him as a person. But don't ask him questions that you honestly don't care about. That's a biggie. If you don't care about sports, do not talk to him about sports because he might go on a 15-minute rant about how Tom Brady is the best quarterback in the NFL, which he is, but he might go on a whole rant about it and you don't care and you have not received any bit of information on whether this date should become a second date. You haven't gotten anything. So the questions you ought to ask him that would encourage him to really open up, and you would begin to see who he is and what his interests are. Ask him about his goals. Ask him about what's important to him. Ask him about what he likes to do in his spare time. Ask him about where he sees himself in 10, 15 years. When you ask him those questions, he begins to talk about himself and what his goals and visions are for his life. And when you begin to hear him talk, you can begin to piece together the different things in his life that are important to him. And you can make the decision on whether those things are important to you. That if his future, if his goals for the future, are they in alignment with what I want to do as well? Do I see myself doing what he wants to do? If he says he wants to move to Alaska and that's not my goal, that's a pause. I'm gonna pause on this and really come back to this later, but I think you ought to really ask him what's important to him, and when you ask him those type of questions, you'll get a window into his mind, and you'll be better able to know and see who he really is. And if you're still not getting the answers that you're looking for, there's some questions really on your heart that might come off as a little weird. Ask him indirect questions. So if you want to know how he treats his mom, you don't just come out and say, how do you love your mom? Of course he's going to say, yes, I love my mom. But maybe a little indirect question that you could ask him is, when's the last time you talked to your mom? I don't know. You got to figure out indirect questions to really get the answers that you're looking for. But hey, you don't need to learn everything about him on the first date. There's going to be plenty of time to do that. The first date is just for you to kind of get to know him, try to get to see what's in his heart, what is he like, what does he enjoy, what's important to him. Ask him questions that will help you decide whether there should be a second date or not. And I think that should help you. And after you've done that, after you've figured out what the non-negotiables are and what the negotiables are, you have to make sure that you ask the right questions in the right way. Don't ask questions that make it seem like the conversation is an interview or an investigation. As soon as you do that, as soon as you give off the vibe that you're trying to investigate his life, you have just given him reason, not only just to cover up, but to lie to you. You've given him this out, you've given him this excuse to just begin, his self-defense mechanisms just begin to show up, and he begins to give you all the right answers that he knows you want to hear, and what he knows might not be the truth.
Okay, so the last question for today is, how do I know that a guy is not into me? When I read that question, I was like, girl, you just gonna know, duh. But hey, I know you have the right answer to this, Vlad. You're about to shut it down.
These questions are hard, man. How can I tell if a guy is interested in me or not? That's a great question. It's a hard question because I just have to confess that some guys, me included, we're difficult to read. We are confusing. And honestly, some of us guys are kind of slow when it comes to even seeing that you're interested in us. And so you might have shown interest. We might have had long conversation on the phone. I might text you back every time. My read receipts always come on, and I let you know I'm texting you. I'm texting you. Long conversations all day. We could hang out, but like so many people have sadly realized those signs alone, they don't mean that I'm interested in you. That is sad. That's a sad reality, but it's true that not just because he gives you attention means that he's interested in you. Do you get what I'm saying? But there isn't a science to all of this, but if he never makes the effort to see you, hang out with you, if he doesn't carry a conversation with you and doesn't seem interested in talking to you, then that's a good sign that he's not interested. All right, and here's one that some people miss. If he has no problem talking about other girls that he's interested in with you, if he has no problem talking about that with you, seeking your advice, then, that's a good sign that he kind of just sees you as a friend. And maybe he's not interested in you in terms of a dating relationship. But like I said, guys can be difficult when it comes to these questions because honestly, there are some honest to God good guys out there who, even though they might not be interested in you, they will give you all the signs that they are interested in you. And if it's they'll give you all the signs, every sign, but they won't be interested. And if it's eating you up inside, as for those of you who asked the question, or maybe the question's on your mind, if it's eating you up inside that much, I just suggest go ask him. Ask him. Have a sit down with him and face to face and ask him. Just say, hey, what are we doing? Now, you're not expressing your emotions. You're not expressing your feelings for him, but you are asking him to clarify what's going on. That yes, he has been giving you some signs. Now, if this was a movie and it was a Disney movie, he would say, yes, I've had a crush on you since the first day I met you, and yeah, that's great. That's a success. But you also have to be prepared for the other side, and that he might let you know that he's not interested in you. He just sees you as a friend, and, he's sorry that he gave you the wrong signs. And you have to be prepared for that. And you might not get the answer you were looking for. But the overarching positive that comes out of asking and just, really asking him to be an adult about it, really like talk through what's going on in this friendship relationship, is that you'll know if he likes you or not. If you're just wasting your time and just wasting your effort, and you'll be free to make a decision on how you want the friendship to proceed. You don't want to be a slave to the situation and just sitting there waiting on him to make a move, and you realize that you just wasted 6, 8, 10 months, a year. You don't want that. You want to get a decision on what you ought to do immediately.
All right, so that's all for today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys learned a lot. Thank you, Vlad. Thank you so much for doing this. And if you guys want to collaborate with me, if you have an idea in mind, feel free to hit me up. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about any of the questions or the answers, I'll have my information and Vlad's information. So see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.
Jesus, yeah. Shots to the devil, God on my side, I don't feel no weep. Even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I know I don't need to worry, I just call his name. Oh yeah, lay down by the river, all my troubles and sorrows, I lay them down by the river. God, I believe it, blood was believer, I don't even care what they say,